Hello. So far we have discussed three of the four important thermodynamic potentials, and we will define the fourth thermodynamic potential of our interest, namely the Gibbs function G. So before we move on to discussion of Gibbs function, let me give a recap of the other thermodynamic potentials we have already seen. So we started with U, okay, the internal energy function, whose natural variables were V and S. Then we introduced the enthalpy H, whose natural variables were P and S, and we have seen the third one as Helmholtz free energy A, whose natural variables are volume and temperature. And U was defined in terms of the adiabatic work done, and H was defined equal to U plus an additional term PV, U plus PV. A was defined again in relation to U as U minus Ts, and this A was named as Helmholtz free energy. We have written the differential, total differentials of all these quantities, and we could also obtain the derivatives. The other quantities could be expressed in terms of these quantities. That's what we have done so far. Now let's come back to our Gibbs function, or Gibbs free energy. So as usual, we will define Gibbs free energy by a Legendre transformation. So you can see the definition of Gibbs free energy is G equal to H minus Ts. So you can compare it with what the previously known free energy, which is the Helmholtz free energy. Helmholtz free energy is equal to U minus Ts. So you can strike a similarity between the definition of G and the definition of A, both of which are named as free energies. In both of these free energies, you can see there is a term minus Ts. So A is obtained from U, or Helmholtz free energy A is the Legendre transform of U using the variables V and S. V and S were interchanged here. So you can see T remains the same here. Similarly, I can say the Gibbs free energy G, whose natural variables are pressure and temperature. Okay, this one is obtained from H, from enthalpy, whose natural variables are pressure and entropy. So I can say the Gibbs free energy is mathematically the Legendre transformation of the enthalpy with temperature replacing entropy. So you can see that the entropy dependence of H has now become the temperature dependence in G, with the pressure coming in both expressions. So that is why I say that G is the Legendre transformation of H with the entropy replaced with what? Temperature. So that is a mathematical derivation. Okay. Now I told you all the different thermodynamic potentials that we are introducing will be useful in different contexts, under different constraints, or under different situations. So we will see that Gibbs function, better called Gibbs free energy, is a convenient thermodynamic potential when we study the phenomena like phase transitions or when we study about the chemical kinetics, especially the equilibrium in chemical reactions. And that is why you have used the Gibbs free energy in predicting the spontaneity of chemical reactions, as I told you in the introductory part of this particular topic. So you have been using, hope you remember, whenever you used a chemical reaction in general, you write some reactants A plus B is giving you C plus D. And if the reaction is reversible, you can see that there will be an downward arrow also. And hope you remember, in predicting whether or not this reaction can proceed spontaneously, what did you do in your chemistry topics is that you calculated the delta G of the reaction. And you obtain delta G of the reaction as what G of the products minus G of the reactants. And you concluded that, hope you remember, if the delta G of the reaction is less than 0, you concluded that the reaction will be spontaneously proceeding. Delta G less than 0 or delta G is negative. So we concluded that the reaction is spontaneous. Or the condition for a spontaneous reaction was obtained by looking at the delta G values, the change in the Gibbs free energy. So we can see that mostly whenever you wrote a chemical reaction, especially in organic chemistry and all, you write the conditions under which the reaction is occurring. For example, you have been writing 273 Kelvin. I'm just giving us a sample, 1 atm. Hope you remember that. Whenever you learned standard chemical reactions like name reactions, etc., in organic chemistry, you used to write the conditions under which that reaction can occur. So what actually we are specifying here, when you write 273 Kelvin 1 atm, we mean that this reaction occurs under some constraints, under certain conditions, given conditions. What is the condition? The temperature should remain 273 Kelvin and the pressure should remain at what? 1 atm. So we are keeping T equal to constant and P equal to constant. And you can see that these two, temperature and pressure, we can see that that is appearing as the natural variables of Gibbs free energy, right? So we can see that the Gibbs free energy is especially important in the study of phase transitions and in the prediction of chemical or study of analysis of chemical equilibrium in particular, right? Now, due to the reason that we have mentioned in the case of Helmholtz free energy, Gibbs free energy or Gibbs function is also known as Gibbs free energy. Gibbs free energy. Physically it is known as Gibbs free energy, and mathematically it is better named as Gibbs function. So you can clearly understand why it's known as Gibbs free energy. I told you the concept of free energy because out of H, you look at the equation, G is equal to H minus Ts. So this one left side we have named as free energy, means this much amount of energy will be available to do some useful work. That's the meaning actually. Means you have got H, which is the heat content of the system. But this concept says that under constant pressure and temperature, you will be able to obtain only an amount of energy which is equal to what? H minus Ts. So this much energy, Ts denotes an energy. And this Ts term we earlier had defined, it is something what can be regarded as some latent energy, means hidden energy or sleeping energy. Means this much energy, even though that is there in the system, you cannot make use of it in a useful manner. So we can say that whatever energy that is remaining to be in the useful form, available form, will be H minus this latent energy. Hence this G is usually regarded as what? The free energy, one of the free energies, like the Helmholtz free energy under the other condition. Under Vt constant, under the conditions of V and T, Helmholtz free energy is relevant, and under the condition of pressure and temperature remaining constant, the Gibbs free energy is relevant, right? So that is where we related S with unavailable energy. So more the value of S, more will be the latent energy and lesser will be the free energy. So that is the relation that we have to remember, right? So hope you remember that all the thermodynamic potentials that we are discussing here, whether it is internal energy, the enthalpy, the A or the G that we are just introducing right now, all these quantities are basically having the dimensions of energy. All of these quantities, thermodynamic functions are all energies, some kind of energies which becomes relevant under special situations defined by their own natural variables. So now, having defined G as the Legendre transformation of enthalpy, let us just check what other information G can provide. So for that, let's take the total derivative of G. So from the first defining equation, so this is a defining equation which I box it here. From the defining equation of G, let me take what is dG. So since G is given by that equation, I can write dG will be equal to, is not quite simple, you can take dG is equal to, take the differential of on the right side, dG equal to dH minus TdS. It will be quite similar to the previous derivation we have done, TdS minus what? SDT, TdS minus SDT. Now what I will do is that I will rewrite H. How do you write H? H was defined previously as U plus PV. So H equal to U plus PV. So what I have to do is that I have to take DH here. So what will be DH here? So DH will be equal to DU. Okay, I'm just substituting for H as U plus PV. Let me write it for completeness. So minus TdS minus SDT. Okay, so H I can take this one as DU plus PdV, we are doing differentials, plus VdP, PdV plus VdP minus TdS minus SDT, minus SDT. Now, can't you combine du plus PdV? What is du plus PdV? That is nothing but from the first law of thermodynamics, d bar q. So I can write this one as d bar q. Okay, plus VdP minus TdS minus SDT. You can get rid of many of these steps. I'm just doing it see all the steps so that it's clear to you, right, directly. See now you know that d bar q is always what is that? See, TdS is not okay from the usual equation for the definition of change in entropy for a reversible process. ds is equal to d bar q by t. We have been using all these equations. Okay, so it's equal to TdS. So you know this d bar q can get cancelled with this TdS here, minus TdS here. So what you are left with is finally it's VdP, right? VdP minus SDT. VdP minus SDT. So that is our final equation of interest. So dG is equal to VdP minus SDT. So that is the differential form of the Gibbs free energy. Now this equation will help us to define the functional dependence of G, or to identify the natural variables of G. So what is G? So I can say G is a function of its natural variables. What are the natural variables here? Variables are denoted by D, differentials. So P is one of the natural variables, so I am writing P. And what is the other variable here? It is dt. So T is the next natural variable, so Pt. So I can say G is a function of P and T, and hence this P and T are known as the natural variables of Gibbs free energy, right? It means that Gibbs free energy will be a convenient thermodynamic potential in situations involving pressure and temperature conditions. Whenever you know, or whenever you are able to control the pressure and temperature of a process, then in order to analyze the thermodynamical behavior of that system, especially under equilibrium conditions, you can rely on, you can depend on Gibbs free energy. Gibbs free energy will be of help to you. Like the Helmholtz free energy was of use to us whenever we are dealing with the systems whose volume and temperature can be controlled by us. Okay, controlled means you have got maneuvering, you have got control over these two variables, right? Then you can just use A, you can depend on A. So it's up to us up to the experimentalist to decide which thermodynamic function can be depended on while doing his experiment. So what he has to do, he is designing his thermodynamical experiment. It can be a chemical reaction, it can be a phase change thing, or it can be any other process. While designing his thermodynamical experiment or a chemical reaction process, he has to identify the variables which are accessible to him, whether he can control volume and entropy, whether he can control pressure and entropy, or volume and temperature, or the pressure and temperature, which combination is accessible to him. And depending on the accessible variables, which we have named as what? Natural variables. Here he has to, or we have to select proper thermodynamic potential out of the given set. That will be helping him to make realistic conclusions regarding the future or the nature of the particular process. Okay, so that's in general the concept of thermodynamic potential, why it has been defined. So now let's take a special case. So let's take whenever these variables, the natural variables are constant. So at constant pressure and constant temperature, what will happen to dg? So you can see that dp will be equal to 0 and dt will be equal to 0. Under this condition, you will see that under this condition dg will be equal to 0. What does it mean? You have the trivial just conclusion that g will be equal to constant for such a process. G equal to a constant for such a process. So I can say that for isothermal, that's a conclusion already given, and we assume that we have a presumption that all these processes are reversible. So to be very precise, for a reversible isothermal and isobaric process, the Gibbs free energy is a constant, or change in Gibbs function will be equal to 0. And one more idea, as you know that the ultimate aim of defining these functions is to study the equilibrium behavior of the systems. So to do justice to that statement, we can also discuss about the minimum value of Gibbs free energy. And you will see that if the constant value of Gibbs free energy attained at a particular value of P and T is the minimum, if that is the minimum value that can be attained by the particular system under a given pressure and temperature, then we can conclude that the system would have achieved its equilibrium. So that is also something very, very significant. The system has got minimum free energy value, Gibbs free energy value at equilibrium. So always remember, one thing is sure, the system, from our previous knowledge, the system would have already attained what? Its maximum entropy. So these are the two chief characteristics that you have to keep in mind while you discuss about any system in thermodynamic equilibrium. One is that entropy of that system would have achieved its maximum value, and the other one is that the relevant thermodynamic potential, it can be either U, or it can be H, or it can be A, or it can be G, or many other things like grand potential and all, which we are not discussing right now. So one of the relevant thermodynamic potential also would have achieved its minimum value, and the entropy would have achieved its what? Maximum value. Now we can also relate it. Can you see that? So you know this free energy is reaching minimum. So that is one way of interpreting this equation. The free energy becomes minimum. When does it happen? It happens when the entropy is maximum. Can you see that? The free energy will be minimum for a system in equilibrium. Correspond to that situation, the entropy would have reached a maximum. And can you see that now the significance of this minus sign in the expression? And that is why we have been able to relate the entropy of a system as a measure of unavailable energy. So more the entropy of the system, lesser will be the available energy, and the available energy is represented by what is known as the free energy. So that also is now evident by the definition of G and A as free energies of the system. Okay, so these are the conceptual points that I wanted to clarify, and finally we can end up our discussion, preliminary discussion on Gibbs free energy by taking the derivatives, or by obtaining the derivatives from this particular differential equations or total differentials. So from dg you can obtain an expression for v as well as what s, as we have done with all other variables. So what will be v equal to? So I can write v is equal to, how do you write v? Try to do this one. V is equal to dou g, you have to use a partial derivative, dou g with respect to dou p, dou g with respect to dou p, keeping the other variable as a constant. What is the other variable? The other natural variable is t. So the other natural variable is t, right? And you will be getting entropy. Entropy S is equal to what is that thing? Minus S is equal to minus dou g with respect to what? Dou g with respect to dou t, dou g with respect to dou t, keeping what as a constant, keeping the other variable as a constant, which is what? The pressure as a constant. And so these are the two equations. So if you just stare at the equations, like I told you, you have to stare at the equations, look at the equation with the extreme care, right? In order to understand something, if you stare at the equation, that these differential equations can tell you a lot many things. Okay, otherwise you can just see them as some see x by y or a by b. That's something mathematical. But the advantage of physics is that once you give some sort of attention to the equation, it can tell you lot many stories regarding. There are a lot of stories behind all these equations in physics. That makes physics different from mathematics. You give meaning to some mathematical equation, it becomes a physical reality. Okay, so in the same manner, I cannot let you complete this particular session without putting some light on this equation. Can you look at this equation? Can you look at this equation and infer something from this equation? So you can see that S is defined in terms of G. S is defined in terms of G, in terms of its natural variables pressure and temperature. You can see that, right? So can't you see that there is a negative sign here? So each negative sign appearing in equation may be willing to tell you some story. Okay, why this negative sign? What is the implication of this negative sign? We can see that this equation says that the entropy is related to the Gibbs free energy, is not? Entropy can be expressed as the derivative of Gibbs free energy, means they are related. Means whenever there is a change in Gibbs free energy with the temperature, there be a corresponding change in entropy also. And we have concluded from our discussion that G will be equal to G minimum. G will be equal to G minimum at equilibrium, and we have seen that when G attains its minimum value, S will be attaining its maximum value. So exactly opposite behavior, and that opposite behavior has been represented by this negative here. So when one increases, the other will be appearing as a decrease. So when G is tending to its minimum value, means it's a decrease, the S will be tending to its what? Maximum value. So this difference in their trend has been represented by this negative sign. So see that you do not neglect even the silly negative signs that you see in thermodynamic equations, because behind all these negative signs, if it is not a part of our usual convention, behind all these negative signs there will be a lot of stories that is hidden, and your success in studying or understanding thermodynamics is to understand the hidden stories behind every equations, right? So I conclude this session here, and in the next session I will give you a summary of all those 4 different thermodynamic potentials that we have familiarized in the different sessions so far, which will help you to memorize and understand better. Thank you.